Another episode of Sound Advice. Tiffany Young here with audiologist Doug Leonard. And Doug, we often kind of think as we get older, my mom, I'm watching her get older and, maybe she seems a little bit frail. And there's some correlation to, as they get older, that maybe a little bit of that, their frailty doesn't help with their hearing.
According to this study, at least, maybe that their hearing loss contributes to their frailty.
Correct.
Kind of referencing an article that was on a website called Hearing Tracker. And Hearing Tracker is interesting. It's got a lot of good consumer information for the public about hearing loss, hearing aids, all kinds of interesting things. And they referenced a study from a journal that you and I read every day, right? Yeah. It's called the Journal of the American Geriatric Society.
Every day.
Every day. Permanent reading that. But no, it was interesting, though. And they apparently there is a frailty index. Frailty, is, I think of frailty as weakness. We were talking off the air, you referenced like our bones, if you have frail bones, they might be more prone to breaking.
Right.
But there's an overall frailty index that apparently geriatric physicians will use to measure how robust, I guess, their patients are. And it involves, it might be physical, could be their musculature, it could be, again, their bone structure, it might be their cognitive function. But there's apparently a frailty index. And so the researchers in this article found that there was correlation, not causation, but correlation between increased hearing loss and increased frailty.
Okay. That's interesting to me because you can't automatically just assume someone that is physically fit is going to not have issues with their hearing as well.
Right. You could have a very physically fit person, have good muscles and low body fat, but they might have worked around really loud noise and they damage their hearing.
Yeah.
So you're right. There isn't a one-to-one relationship with that. But I think what it comes down to probably is, someone who is taking care of their physical health and taking care of their mental health is probably also being proactive about their hearing. They might be coming in and having those hearing evaluations to get that baseline and find out what's going on. They might also take the next step in proactivity and being, wearing hearing aids, to try to reduce the issues that they're having from that communication loss.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, we've talked about this several times too, especially with the cognitive. They might be frail because they're not going out. They're afraid of going out and, being out in the public because they can't hear anything or maybe exercising, so they're kind of pulling back from that.
And there was also, and this will continue to be researched, I'm sure, but there was also in this study evidence that hearing aid use then amongst certain participants improved their frailty scores or reduced the amount of frailty that they had. So, just another evidence that we've seen of the idea that people need to be proactive about their hearing health.
Absolutely. Stay on top of that. And if you would like to get a hearing evaluation, you certainly can do that with Doug Leonard. He is, of course, at ASI. You can give them a call, 792-5933. You can also check him out on Facebook. You've been listening to Sound Advice with Doug Leonard from Audiological Services of Iowa.